Khaled Al-Hroub is a Palestinian author and professor at Northwestern University in Qatar. He joins us live now from Doha. So, Khaled, you were hearing there from both our correspondents, from Jenin and then also our correspondent from occupied East Jerusalem. We're hearing about a volatile situation in Jenin and then just picking up on what Rahul was saying just before you, that Israel says that this is a counter-terrorism campaign. I mean, what are your thoughts on what you believe Israel to be trying to achieve in this, as they say, a limited campaign in the occupied West Bank?
By no means it's a limited campaign. It's part and parcel of a bigger plan and a scheme that has been already announced over the past few years, in fact. This belongs to the so-called victory approach that the government, the current right-wing Israeli government, subscribes to. And this approach means the following. And again, these things have been laid out publicly by many ministers in the current Israeli government. This says Israel has won the historical war against the Palestinians, and the Palestinians should acknowledge this. And they have three options to choose from. One is to live under Israeli control according to whatever Israel wants them to be. Second-class citizens, third-class citizens, whatever, or apartheid system. The second option is to leave Palestine altogether and to seek refuge in any other country. This is the second option. The third option is if they refused the other two options, the first two options, they have to face the wrath of the Israeli army. So this what we are seeing nowadays is early implementation of this scheme. So an extension, if you like, of the genocide that we have been witnessing in Gaza Strip over the past year or so. So this is if we come out of the heat of the moment and put things into perspective, for me, what we are seeing is exactly this. And this comes on the backdrop of the carte blanche that Israel is having from the whole entire world. That they tested the water in Gaza, and they found that, well, they can do basically anything. Genocide, ethnic cleansing, killing,
well, let me also ask you about their
and
new...
nobody cared.
Professor, let me just ask you about what seems to be a new focal point, the city of Jenin. It's been effectively sealed off. We saw the streets deserted. Our correspondent was talking about this hospital that's now been cornered off. What's the history there, and why does Jenin itself pose a security threat for Israel?
Well, Jenin historically placed in the northern part of the West Bank, adjacent to the Israeli towns and cities. And historically speaking, again, it has been seen as the base of Palestinian resistance. So since the first Intifada, late in 1980s, and the second Intifada, early 2000, Jenin was all the time used by Palestinian fighters, Palestinian resistance movements as their base, if you like, to conduct their resistance against Israel. Not only Jenin, but also Nablus and Tulkarem, the northern part of the West Bank. But I think we need, again, to put things into perspective and not to exaggerate what has been happening on the side of the Palestinians. This is not war from the Palestinian side. This is a mere resistance that cannot be accounted as fully fledged war as Israel wants to put it.
Let me just ask you quickly.
Saying this is a full war.
Professor, let me just ask you quickly then. I mean, is this the next phase or a broadening of the war for Israel? What comes next?
Yeah, what comes next, again, has been already declared. There is an intention to expel as many Palestinians from the West Bank as they could. This is number one. Number two is the expansion of the settlements in the northern part of West Bank and in the Jordan Valley area, changing the demography and the geography of the West Bank, creating isolated places for the Palestinians, Bantustans, to subdue the Palestinians and to create what they call new facts on the ground. So this is the next phase, which is extremely dangerous as the whole world is watching.
Okay, Professor Khaled Al-Hroub, Palestinian author and professor at Northwestern University in Qatar, thank you so much for your analysis.